Top of the morning, ladies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to the What If Deku. Let me find Deku. Him had the infinity. Sorry, I just thought about this one. I was gonna name it What if I was in My Hero Academia. But let's do that. Okay? And then it would sound cooler. Okay? So, and I'm talking about my character, not like a real person thing. That I'll use that mostly. So, let's begin. Sorry. And no, that I'm not smoking or vaping thing. I talk so fast, my breathing needs to catch up. So, my power is infinity. It's an attribute that I have. I can basically use it to read people's thoughts, and I don't know what that was. So, but most of the or be like he was born from the heart of the yes. Not literally, but just bear with me now. Okay, so, and I'm explaining it to you. So, let's begin with, usually it's Zuko getting born thing. Like, he was born that had zero quirk. Or not like, he's not quirkless kinda zero, but think about it as 13, but when she passes her limit on her black hole thing. Or has Shiraki sends his decay quirk. Everything. Of course, throws in that little turd over there. I'm looking at you, my dad, or whatever your name is. So, I know my reason why I don't like him. He's too chatty with, like, without all that chatter, he could have just, like, easily be like everybody else. So, but during the same time that, same day, when Zuko was getting born thing, in the heavens, actually, actually, this is my character, that I'm talking about. So, he's basically the overpowered dude. He's quite famous for anything. So, just to clarify, it's my character, not real me. So, just to be on a safe side. To be honest with you, this is my character, not my real life self. No. But let's continue before. So she named her to my character, Chansey. That's what I'll name him. Chansey. So and she could detect that Chansey has power to, basically could destroy anything, or he's basically like a gun. Yeah? So she ends up putting him in a public school thing when he got to Zuko's age. And before her, they had the doctor one. Where is he? I'm just gonna use it was the same doctor. So he says, "Wow, Chansey, you're pretty powerful. I could tell. But there's no quirk on you, but..." And she ends up saying, it's not a quirk, but it's as it dawns on her, it's his, sorry, I'm stuttering over my words. It's his attribute. Very powerful attribute. I see. So, then Chansey, his little sister, was none other than the one that was in before I started this video thing. So she ends up having a fire attribute thing. So, man, the things are quiet around here. So, sorry, got distracted. Okay? So, Zuko went to the same school with him. Or with Chansey. Chazzy. It's what my character's name is. Okay? So, Chansey, it sounds like I'm saying the other word, but it's actually trying to say okay? So, he's always has a calm attitude, and he was when he was calm for a Zuko's age, or when they were kids. Bakugo's, was trying to, he says, "Hey, Kaz, what's your quirk?" As my character says, "Oh, mine really don't really have a quirk. But I do have the attribute of infinity. I do have one thing." As he, as Bakugo says, "Wait, so you have the attribute of infinity?" As my character says, "Yes." "Ooh, that's cool. It's like a quirk, right?" "Yes, similar, but not very much." See, mine's super ultra, or mine's a legendary rare to have. Oh, that's a kitty that's at the door. So he ends up of course, when he took care of, or actually his mother says, someone, as when Deku, or Bakugo's henchmen and Deku, they were like shocked, like, "Wait, she's your mother?" And it was, as he says, "Yes." As, as his mother says, "Yes, I'm his mother." Okay, I'm on my way. As Bakugo and the rest of them are so stoned, like, "I can't believe we're in the same class with in Manus' son." Okay, and so, and his sister wasn't very happy about how his or her brother is getting all the attention of them. So basically, she tried to make friends, but ends up accidentally. She always had this short temper, like she can become like, "Oh, I'm gonna," okay, as when I'm trying to piece the words together, but it's really hard for me. So let's begin with, or actually, when Zuko, heard that, or when Inko heard that from Hashi, or from her own son, she couldn't believe her own son is a best friend with the Candace's son. As so then the next day, Sorry, that was just my dog. So, if you could hear it. But the next day, Momo heard about Chaz's work, or or she actually heard about Chaz's is a cinnamon thing, and so did Jiro, because her parents told her that, or so, and Zuko was, or before, Zuko wasn't just a single child. He was also has a sister named Zumi, and the every everybody in the school knew that Shinmin and can. So Bakugo was like picking on a crying kid thing, and so sorry, just trying to find. So my character says, or because Zuko stepped in, you quirkless loser, as he's, or as Shinman says, huh? Well, let me break up a fight before things get too ugly. So they both, or so then he says, knock it off, you four, as Bakugo was like, okay. As he says, have fun. I will. They they both went back to the house thing, or mansion, more accurate term, and as his sister, of course, Momo heard about Shinman, or because she was, I'm in my what if, I'm putting her and Jiro in the same like class as Midoriya has. So both of them went to her to be friends with her, and she says, "Sure. I hope that you don't mind my short tempers things." As Momo says, "Yeah, we handle a lot of those." As Jiro says, "Yep." So the the when they all reached like 14 or 15, Bakugo, or the teachers came in and told Bakugo, or actually they said, well, using your quirks in school is forbidden. As Bakugo knows that, don't compare me to these extras. He was gonna say it, but then if he does, Shinman might shut him down for. So he kept himself quiet from, because he because before second year came, or like during the second year of that small school thing, or medium school, Zuko, or Cinnamon Man, or actually a teacher says, well, class, this is a new student. She got transferred to this school. Well, so, all of you be kind. No rational. Or else we'll get Chenman to use his... Of course, they said that Chenman's glare thing. And plus, he actually, or the teacher says, don't make as Toga was actually, she heard that name before. Her parents, or when she was in fourth grade thing, or third grade, everybody spread rumors that him and watch out for Chazzy, he might come and get you. And she literally, after class, during lunch, or before lunch even started, she told Chen to meet her on a roof. As my character says, or as Chazzy says, okay. As he literally walks up to the roof and she says, so you must be Chaz, aren't you? Or Chazzy. Yes, I am. As she really wanted to get to know him better. So she asked him, like, what's your power? Everyone says that you're super strong, super fast. Super intelligent thing. As Henry says, well, my attribute is called infinity. Anyways. So, as she never heard of a thing called attributes before. But in this what if, attributes are highest ranks above everything. So, and there was a legendary rares. So, he says, well, your mother didn't tell you about how there's common quirks, just like yours, Toga. I can tell that your quirk is transformation, and you do transform into other people by drinking their blood, right? As she ends up embarrassed, because how she says, "How did you know about me?" My attribute told me, or had everyone's files was on, as he points to, see, I can't, or I can just turn it off, but it's just how powerful it is. So then they ended up like halfway through the lunch thing, even before or after lunch, they became friends. And plus, my character says, and no, your quirk isn't creepy, it's just, its design of your quirk is, it's not even villainous. As she, or actually, Toga finds that interesting that everybody calls her creepy or her quirk is villainous, but no one actually says you're not creepy or villainous. Not even your quirk. But she was very connected to him. Like, she even gave him a hug. Because Chaz's mother taught him better to use the be polite thing. As Zuko was like, okay. So then when the UA exam thing, Hinman became, or actually a doctor, or not doctor, the teacher walks in and says, well, usually it's these files, but I know that all of you are going to be pro heroes in your futures. As he tells them that, yeah. So, well, they went from, or teacher says, well, let me read a list off of who's going to go to UA, except for UA. Husky Bakugo. Alright. As he went cha-ching! Kind. Zuko Midoriya. And Chazzy. And Crystal Home. That's the... I'm trying to think of her name. And Momo, Rozu, and Jiro. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And plus Himiko Toga is 7. Because so Zuko or Kenzie says, we'll do our best, right? Okay. And so it was beginning the exam thing as so her name means sister? As she says, yep. As their mother knows that they're going to UA to become pro heroes. She says, I'm very proud of you, both of you, for getting accepted into UA. As Himiko Toga's mother says the same thing. Because she's surprised that Toga had so much confidence in her own abilities. As then one day she asked, why are you so confident? Usually you act so, like, creepily and villainous thing. As she turns around and smiles as she says, well, I have a friend known Chazzy, as her own mother knew who Chazzy was. She just says, wow, so you're best friends with his son? As she says, yep. Be careful around him. Oh, I will. He and I, we swore that we never do anything too rational. As when they both, like, Henman and asked his sister to go train with him. She says, sure. As, or actually he says, Mother, can I go to, or this is what he said to his own mother. Can I go and train my attribute? Sure thing. Don't overdo it. Okay? Alright. And plus the big stadium one, you know, those like super giant one, it's right underneath the ground at their house in the basement. He says, or actually his sister says, sure, let's go. As he went, or they, or actually she went first because he's a kind, so she ends up becoming the pyromaniac thing and almost trying to kill her brother, and so ends up turning into a flaming dragon looking thing and ends up, but Hinman took that thing, like, he used his power, boom, to knock all the bolters out, and he trained harder, or they both trained their quirks, and they said, or after they were done, and then so his own sister jumps onto him and says, good job. Okay, so then they were like, okay, class, during the exam, or actually during that, and, or actually, when they went and they, of course, Endeavor was there watching them, and one day, when he saw his, or when he saw her pyromanic thing transforms into a dragon, he immediately went from being, there's two students, okay, to, what the heck? Sorry. Of course, he says, what the heck? How is... And Hinman and she used her fireball thing shut from her mouth and shot right at her own brother. As he like, okay, might recruit her in my agency. As he looks at Hinman, or Chazzy, that's what I'll... Because there's actually another one called Chazman, and is him. I'm gonna bring him into the story somehow, but so he was like, okay, what is, or he like thinks in his head, okay, good. Sister got pyro, as then when he looked at Hinman, says, how about we try not to kill each other? This is training not to flip and kill each other. She says, I know. I'm just trying. Okay. As he used purple beam attack thing, and so they trained, or so they, so then now anyway thing, or yeah, exam, Zuko says, are you ready? As Bakugo and Hinman says, and Momo and Jiro says, yep, let's do this. So then, get on your mark, get set, go. Because I'm skipping in the written part of that exam because Hinman had 100% on the writing. So did his sister. Huh? They were the first ones done before. So then the giant robots ones or like be prepared. Because both of them went to C and B. So then as he said, or as Music Mike, because he knew about Henman, so he says, Chenman, don't hold back on any of your quirks or anything that you have powerful. As he says, sure. As it's just robots, right? Yep, okay. As he used all of his power, he went from being like calm to, okay, bye, boom. It started before, and he got, as Endeavor in this would have knew that, or when he looked at, first he looked at his, or first looked at like, okay, some of them are weaker than others, or stronger than others. But when he turned and looked at the monitor for Hinman, and he went, what the heck? As the waves of power is like throwing Henny through the entire Japan area. That he was like Toga even could sense his power all the way because she's in class B with Chez's sister. And so then, and Momo and Jiro. Bakugo saw that and he was like, what the heck? Hey, Hanzi, save some robots for rest of us bozos. Okay? As he like when during the 0-pointer thing, he just took it out in 5 seconds. Boom. And so Deku basically saved Ochako from getting crushed by Han, and I'm skipping that part. So skipping the quirk assessment test because Shenmin and his sister got first and second. And of course Zuko got on. Zuko was, he had a 0 quirk, like not quirkless, but he of course, All Might, he says, here you go, because having zero needs your body to train itself. So he was already buffed up before, like him. So All Might explains like all for ones and all that stuff, and he ends up giving one for all to Zuko, and then he becomes even more powerful, matching, and then, but at the villain's base, or actually, I'm skipping that heroes versus villains thing, because they all know that Shenmin will easily beat them. So then, USJ, I'm skipping like the heroes versus villains and go right to USJ. 13 or actually only 2 people that showed up, really. He showed up at USJ because Principal Nezu says, go ahead. Or actually, Mr. Aizawa says, go ahead. Don't worry. I'll mark you here, but you're just at the, hey? As he says, oh, or my character says, okay. And so did his sister. So both of them walked all the way to USJ, and only person that really showed up before they did was 13. So 13. And so she explains, oh, you two must be, you're pretty famous for being nuns or goddesses' children's. Let me show you around. And welcome to USJ, where here you can, and instead of doing like what All Might does, as you know, or instead of combat, you can also save other people. So then Zuko was like, yep. Or Henry says, yep. Okay. We'll do our best. Okay. As 13's explaining how it is, and they all explain. But then one day, even before other students showed up, the villains showed up before her. And 13's like, I meant children. Not this. As Henman says, oh, don't worry. Every dude, did you see that warp guy, Mommy? Don't use your quirk on him, that mist guy, because he will use your power against you. Okay? Oh, that's a good tip then. Okay? So then his sister knew how to use her fireball. So she shot the fireball right at Shiraki-sen. And straight at him And he says, well, as he... sorry. So then he ends up, or actually, Cinnamon used his power, and he snaps his fingers. Of course, I'm using like Thanos's. Actually, he used a time quirk to pause all of the villains, right in place. Plus a Nomu, as they all like try to escape, but the gates closed, but lucky for his sister, or actually lucky for them, his sister used her point thing, and she used her laser fiery quirk thing, and like cuts a hole in the, and then that happens, all of it, and so All Might, or all of them are like, okay, all the pro heroes like showed up, as he says, as he told 13 that, I know that it's not any of our faults, right? Nope, you're good. You didn't disobey me, so we're all good. As the only people that heard about that incident, and all the pro heroes heard that Shinmin's, or Chezi, the most powerfulest one, was all the pro heroes like her. She wanted Shinmin to join her agency, so that, plus she also wants him in bed thing. I just said in bed thing. So, Endeavors was there, or actually, when he was at his agency, his own agents told him that Chinmin, or Chezi, I keep calling him Chazman. Chezi is the most powerfulest one there is. And Endeavor's like, Wally, what? And so all the students, like, from different schools, like her, actually, like, they all heard about Chenman, or Chezi is the most powerfulest one. So then, at the villain's base, All For One says, interesting, I see. What's that boy's name? And his sister, or those two are so powerful, I could tell. As the doctor says, oh, those two? The boy is Chazzy. The girl is Crystal. They're siblings. Or as the doctor says, yes, Crystal is Chaz's sister, And he's a big brother to her. Ah, I see. It's quite unusual for someone with all that power without losing control of their insanity. Well, I'll personally don't care about that much power. I only care about quirks that have that much. As but at the like last 1A, they were like, yep, yep, boom. So that redhead guy, he noticed and even walked in the room. He like, hey Ted, what's up? As everybody says, was that scary for you that you got ambushed by a bunch of villains? They're all like, or Jazzy says, calm down, slow down. We don't want Mr. Aizawa to look at us with his quirk, aren't we? Yeah, says Todoroki. But hey, that guy right there, he says, hey, as long as none of us got injured, that's most important. Alright. So, are all of them agreed? They all sat back down. And Mr. Aizawa says, alright, calm down. As he's shocked because he says, well, Kenzie and Crystal, both of you did good on not like disobeying the 13. As as my character says, or both of them says, no problem. They were weeks anyway. Plus, as Mr. Aizawa says, moves on. Okay, now all of their sports festival will be in 2 weeks, so be prepared. Start training hard, except for you, Chaz. Because you have no limits to your power. As they like, and the person that showed up, or actually Chaz and was just gonna walk out of the classroom, and all the other students, like class 1B, they're like, huh, well, you class 1A students are such a bull-headed, and then as he says, huh, why are you all in front of a door anyway? So, just asking. How about all of you please get out of our way. As his eyes turned red, and as the floor underneath became, or actually one of the floor gave a hand thing, and pushed them all over. And this would have the grapefruit guy, him, Manenter, actually had such a bad, or actually he wasn't able to, or actually he wasn't similar to Kenan. This is my version. He was like, okay. He's always like, well, ow, sorry. So he says, well, he actually, Manenter told Chessman that, because Chessman and him are best friends now, because he told as that, and thank goodness I'm not like a weirdo. Oh, as he says, yeah, or else you would have just grabbed probably Momo's, and all that. As he says, yeah, you're right. If I, in my way, if I ever do that, just smack me out to the head. Okay. As everybody else knows that Chessman's so kind-hearted. So I'm skipping the sports festival and the camp art because, one, sports festival, Chessman and got first place in all of them, all three. And the camp art, and when everybody, like when I said everybody, everyone in like Japan and the entire world knows that. So then, Musclier that's so sorry. So, and that was a cat. So, the Musclier, instead of attacking Kota, or he was gonna attack Kota, but then he says, well. But when he saw Chazzy, his eyes went from focusing on killing Kota to holy crud, as he was fanboying it. Fanboying it. Like he says, I'll surrender because all that stuff. And so, and All For One's fight against, or during the, and he gets captured, and like All Might broke in, and Hinman was the first one up. And so, for the agency thing, his sister went for Endeavor, and him went to. I really need that picture of what I'm talking about. The one that. Or actually, no. Both of them are actually after sports festival between Endeavor and her. I'm itching my back real quick. Both of them literally walked in or actually told, of course, Eraserhead to Lang. Or actually, one of them. So, they're like all afraid because they know that something's up. As he, or as she says, "Are you Chadman?" And as she looked right at Ches, and he, so then, and he says, "Yes, I am. Join my agency." That's what she forced him to join her agency. He says, "Sure," and he looks over at his sister and he says, "Guess so. You'll be with a number 2 hero, aren't you, Mimi's sister?" As she had a puffy face, like, yeah. How is that even? As Endeavor, or they both said it, join my agency. As they both like, they were both fighting over Chadman, who can join. So then, both of them, like her, she says, "How about this? How about we split him? Not like cut him half." And Endeavor's like, well, I am getting his sister or 2. And her. So, Hinman's basically joined her agency. It just felt like, or actually Mina. No, not Mina. Tinya says, there's 2 pro heroes fighting over each other of who gets Chenzi. Well, as Ninda, or actually Mr. Azawa noticed that Hinman, or actually Endeavor, literally, they both like tried to pull Zuko or Chezi apart. Like, he's mine. during my agency. So then, even some of them are like confused, like, why are they fighting Hinman? Only person that really knew was Todoroki. Okay, told him that Hinman. Have any of you heard about his attribute? As everybody except for Bakugo, Zuko, Momo, Jiro, and his own sister, and Toga were all shocked. Like, wait, what is his attribute? As Todoroki says, well, his attribute is infinity. The most powerfulest, rarest, ultimate. He's a legendary one. As everybody looked, or actually everybody that never heard of that power, actually, heck, Tenya was even shocked, like, wait, so you're saying that Hinman's the literal god of everything? As he's trying to force himself to, okay? And Principal Nezu asked them not to do that, as he says, fine, I'll let her keep him. But as Kenny says to him, don't worry. Alright. As long as I did choose, I'm cool with any agency. Hey? So she says, I won, yay. As she's like literally nuzzling on Shenmin's face, or Chazzy's face. It was awkward for both of them, but so then after that, sorry, I have to laugh, but the hero killer Stain literally got knocked out because so then all that happens, and during Shinmin or Chaz's form thing, he says, you must be all for one. I heard so much about you, but I'm not impressed by what you tries to do with others. You're so weak. As all for one, he never had an insult in his life, except for getting insult by All Might, but he just ignores it. But coming from because his mother says, if it's self-defense, go right ahead and insult him before. As they were like, As he was pretty powerful. He went toe to toe with a number one villain because he actually used his portal thing. And guess who's coming out of it? Yeah. His own other half, Jasmine. As both of them, like, went toe to toe with All For One. So, like, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, boom. As he's, because they had, or because his power was also 0, so they both, so Endeavor went from, like, okay, this is normal fight, and then when he saw Chan Min, he's like, what the heck? They're so coordinated enough that nothing could break their, like, coordination. And then ends up, or actually, Chazzy, built, or he used, like, his own reality power to actually make a coffin often. And during all that thing, or actually during the hero exam thing, Chazzy, or no, her, I always forget her name, but I don't know how to pronounce it properly either, so she ends up, like, after she, like, Night Watch thing, she ends up, this is weird, because she's an adult, and Henny was a student. Then, so they both were in bed cuddling. More accurate term, cuddling. As my character knows that it would be embarrassed. For both of them. The next day, they both woke up in the same bed, and they, actually, Jenny woke up first, and she, like, of course, he was like, hey, as it was the next day that was, she just cuddled with Giannis's son. And so then, I'm sorry. So when during that hit or All For One's fight thing, and like, or Chazzy and Henman were both similar strength, as they both bro fist each other's. It's like, and he was like, yep, let's do this. So then, flippin' bunny girl over there, or actually, he's like, huh, train, as, so then the next day, Class 1A, and 1B, or actually, and Toga, okay, knew that, of course, Toga, and rest of them did not know until someone told them that the pro hero actually slept with Zuko. Or they said her name. As everyone's like confused, like why? As his own sister says, well, he has this amazing power and everything. So then I'm skipping that ball throw thing, the one that like throws or like dodgeball. Huh? Because Chez's Class 1A beats everybody. And Chazzy and Chazman. And as he could sense, as he literally walks up to Deku and says, you must have 0 quirk. Not the... I'm not saying like you're quirkless, I'm saying like 0, like in... Because what's opposite of infinity is 0. And he... How long has this video been? Okay. So... He says, well, huh? As everybody looked at him like, really? You have the quirk called 0? As he says, yeah, I do. But I don't know how to use it properly. So he says, that's okay. I'll teach you. Trust me. I have a similar ability quirk, but yours is actual quirk. Mine's a attribute similar to my Ying over there, as Ying was pretty much embarrassed because of what happened. Because when they both were cuddling thing, and no, they didn't have sex thing, but because his power, sometimes he needs to let some of it cipher off by itself, but ends up, I don't know if that's called like ciphering, but so he ends up getting or she actually got her own kid. And And because some of that power was siphoned off, so he was like, what's going on with? And she says, well, or actually she had a pillow thing. And she ends up having, or actually I'm trying to think of what word. So he ends up training to siphon off of some more energy of his. But when he turned around and saw her, but when he notices something's up, as he looks at her, and he notices that she had like slim belly, like what her does. Like, I don't remember having sex with her. As it dawns on him, wait, my powers already got siphoned off and got implanted into her? But how is that possible? As he says, I'm such dumbfounded. Now I just realized that it was not. This is what he's saying. I'm so dumbfounded. Can't believe my cipher. I think my power's off at night is quite a little bit more amusing than most people, but now, of course, enter a hero who versus like All For One. Then flipping later, after like non-small thing, as his own mother knows that Hinman didn't mean to do that, so she says, "Don't worry." But it's your powers at night. Your powers are siphoned off. That's how you could, and you can also pass it on some of that cipher energy to others. As through the entire weeks, like after that, she still couldn't believe that she doesn't even remember that either. And she knows that Hinman or Chazzy and her were just hugging in bed, sleeping. And she says, as so when she heard, or when she walked out, sees Jasmine training hardest one. She asked him what happened, as he tells her that I think some of my siphon off my quirks, like what I'm doing right now, has passed on to you somehow. I really don't know. Oh, that much. Or I do know that much. Basically, or she says, basically, you're saying that, or some overnight you can siphon off some of that power to others, right? Or, as he says, I also can siphon it off by training myself. Okay. Through the entire years, she actually, like, after the ball throw thing, she ends up had 4 kids. One that looked like Zumi. Yeah, only had 1 kid. Looks like Toga, but it was pretty weird. So then they're like, okay. Plus, it was kind of bizarre. Like, of course, he's training. He needed more training, so he trained himself. And only person that really, like, stalked him was her. And all the girls looked over, and he starts training harder and harder. He, like, basically threw lightning bolts at targets from left to right, and he also did all that stuff. So then they're like, okay, good, boom, boom, boom. They were like, the Class 1B team, they heard about, or actually, he says, well, some of that ciphering off is pretty good. I feel good right now about. As his sister says, yeah, that's true. But why, hey, are you training harder than me? And I only have a, fire quirk. As she shoots at fire. Well, maybe, sister, because my power needs to be siphoned off. If not, I can easily be the powerfulest one. But I can also share some of that ciphering off to others. I have noticed that. As Class 1B was just going to ask him about that. Huh? Like, because some of them heard that the dragon hero pregnant. I'll just rip a band-aid off. And so then, only person that really, or actually, she asked, that, so you did not mean to, like, get the dragon hero, like, have a kid? No. Or as Chezzy says, no, I did not mean to do that. We were only sleeping, and then that happened. As noted. Of course, the moves, only one person that finds it creepier than most was her and Toga. And plus, the bunny girl was in. She even wanted to do the same thing that the dragon lady did. And so, when after school, she basically told him to, actually have a sleep with her. Not in her, with her. Okay? So then, same thing happens to her. She had a son. And looks just like him. So then Chazman says, I see that you're popular with them. And as then plus Zuko was in his buff down form before. Or he hides his buffed up form real fast. So then when Ochako, one time Ochako was like, are you ready yet? As he says, yeah, hold on. I think I had the shirt on backwards. As he flips it around. And he did not mean to do that. And, like, he was like, of course, Ochako, decided to secretly snuck into, or like, secretly peep through Zuko's door and sees a buffed up Zuko with as his stomach, or he was, or had a 32, or actually 64 pack. And Ochako is trying not to get a nosebleed from it. So she ends up having tissue wiped her nose. And there was no other students around them. So then when Deku came down buff thing, then he says, "Are you ready?" As she says, "Yep." As Ochako confessed to him to go on a date and get married thing. So, as Zuko is embarrassed, but then he realizes that it would be good to share some of that power. As they went on dates and they actually got, or Ochako, or not Ochako, Hinko got noted by Zumi. And so she says, "Maybe he's, oh man," as he's embarrassed. Yes. And so Ochako's his parents got notified too. So then they both got married right after school thing. They went on a date, and after school things, he had her, a Ringo Midoriya. So she had, and Deku's is Zero, and her mother's control of gravity. So basically, she's the most powerfulest one. And she also had, where is it? Hold on. She had a brother at one point. She had a brother on her that was similar strength. So they were like, yep. And heck, reason why I didn't include Dobby in it is because, one, Dobby respects both Chaz's. And two, Toga decides to get married to, Chaz Man because his license things. And then so then only one person that, or actually 3 people married to him. Dragon Lady, because Dragon Lady wasn't into any just normal guys. So, and her, because she finds him more creepy. She loves creepy anyways. And, or actually, there's 4. I'm including Momo and Jiro. And so then they're like, yep. And they had their kids. I almost forgot about her, but she's the 5th one. And So then all of them had kids, and basically they're generation after generation. Heck, his sister got married to two people. One was Bakugo, and the other was Todoroki. Okay. And then it was pretty crazy. And then overhaul, fine. Cinnamon just straight up, like bulldoze him over, and yeah, so yeah, and then you were probably about wondering what happened to the Nomu at the USJ. Well, he got basically paused when I said everything in his eyes, like all the USJ fight thing, every villain was at there. What couldn't move. So basically, a Nomu couldn't even move even 1 inch. And what happened to Koda? Koda, wanted to become a hero because Zuko and Chazzy aspired him to become a hero. And they're like, and if you were wondering about my characters, or Chazzy and Chazman and Crystal, Olz's mother, was actually taking care of some weird creature. Sure. Actually, she watches that, and she ends up. So, she actually had not just 3 childs, she had 4 childs, actually. One of them was actually her. So she says, "That's my big brother for you." Or actually, she didn't say that. She never knew her brother before today. So, she says, "Let's introduce you to your brother and your brothers and sisters." As she ends up introducing Chazzy and Chazman and Crystal to her. She says, "Hi, big brother. Hi." Because everybody, they couldn't believe that her own, there was 4 and 4 of them are like, okay, that's cool. And then so that's it. So peace out. This is the wackiest one. It's not like super dark, plus it's not like kitties and rainbows kind of thing. So, and before we go, hit that at like button, subscribe, and hit that little notification, or hit that little bell, or else Shrockyson will come right after you. Come on. Don't bang me. Come after you. Oh, bye-bye.